The Bible says that the first miracle Jesus performed was to turn water into wine. And although they use more conventional methods in South Australia, without water there would be no wine. So faced with a drought that was threatening to destroy their crop, the winemakers were forced to plant something more substantial in the ground. Nearly 40 miles of pipelines have had to be laid across the Langhorne Creek area to bring water to the grapes. It's cost the growers and the government £75 million.
Did you have any choice?
Not really, because unfortunately we were a bit of a stranded asset. We had millions of dollars worth of vineyards that didn't have any available water, and so our only course of action was to sell up or to put our hands in our pocket and invest. So we did.
Not everyone could afford to do that. Some just gave up.
This 150-acre vineyard was abandoned 2 years ago. Since then, the grapes have been allowed to simply wither on the vine. And the more overgrown it becomes, the less likely it is to bear fruit in the future.
The cause of the crisis is not just a lack of rainfall, but over-demand for water to irrigate. Previously, the vineyards got their water from this coastal lake. It in turn is fed by the River Murray. But as the flow of fresh water dropped, the lake became more and more salty.
For us, that was a real eye-opener and a real wake-up call for Langhorne Creek as a district to make sure that we could find another alternative water source.
Now the network of pipelines tap directly into the River Murray and distribute it amongst the vineyards. Access to water is such a contentious issue in this region that the South Australia government has a Minister for Water Security. It's her job to fight neighbouring states like Queensland and New South Wales for an equal share of this most basic resource.
Prior to this very severe drought, there was a real problem in the basin with upstream states having over-allocated the system. So we're suffering not only from the recent drought, but it's a cumulative effect from years of mismanagement and over-allocation of the system. The environment was just not in a position to be able to deal with this drought as a consequence of the man-made drought through over-allocation in the previous decades.
Wine is arguably South Australia's most famous export. It's certainly the tastiest. The Bremerton vineyard produces Shiraz, Cabernet, Merlot, Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc amongst its collection. The ruby and golden liquids which fill the vats and barrels may be profitable, but they've discovered that water can be just as precious. Ian Woods, Sky News, South Australia.